Weirding Way Media.
Welcome to 80s TV Ladies, where we look back in order to leap forward. Every day is a new day filled with possibility, and it's possible that our producer, Melissa, who usually does this part of the introduction, is traveling back to see family. I'm one of your co-hosts, Sharon+johnson.
And I'm your other co-host, Susan+lambert+hatem.
Today, our very special guest is Jennifer Jones. She was the first African American Rockette ever hired in 1987.
1987, Sharon. We know what that means. Those crazy 80s at it again. For 100 years, a century, the Rockettes have been the gold standard of precision dancing. Complicated tap, synchronized routines, and eye-high kicks. That's what they're called. I researched it. They began in St. Louis in 1925, known then as the Missouri Rockettes, founded by choreographer Russell Markert. They were brought to New York to play the Roxy Theater, where they became the Roxyettes, and then ultimately the Rockettes of Radio City Music Hall, best known for the annual Christmas show, the Radio City Christmas Spectacular.
We know the high kicks, military precision, and the sparkling costumes, but for too long a time, that famous line didn't represent everyone. Our guest today is the woman who changed that history forever. In 1988, she stepped onto the field and into our televisions for the Super Bowl XXII halftime show and did more than just perform. She broke a decades-old barrier to become the first African-American Radio City Music Hall Rockette.
Since that historic debut, Jennifer Jones has danced in the Tony Award-winning Broadway show 42nd Street and become an inspiring advocate for equal rights and representation in the arts. But her most profound display of Rockette resilience may be her own personal journey through a battle with colorectal cancer, a fight she fought with the same determination she brought to the stage.
We are so thrilled to have this groundbreaking icon of American dance, plus inspirational author and speaker join us today. Welcome to 80s TV Ladies, Ms. Jennifer Jones.
Hi, Sharon. Hi, Susan. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you so much for being on our show. We are so excited to talk to you. We love talking to groundbreaking women. That's one of the things we do best. I just want to start off with that moment in 1988 when you stepped out onto the field for the Super Bowl XXII, I think, halftime show.
Yeah.
As the first African-American Radio City Rockette.
That moment was simply amazing. I had trained so hard to become a professional dancer in New York City and to not only become a professional dancer, but open the doors for other Black ladies to call themselves Radio City Music Hall Rockettes. For me, it was right before the music started, just standing on the field, I was a bundle of nerves. I was, nervous. It's not only am I performing in a football stadium, but it's being televised. And then the music started. I ran out to my spot and it just felt like I was supposed to be there. It was something that was just so amazing. I truly believe that there are points in life where you just know where you're supposed to be. And I was supposed to be there at that moment.
And that was, if I remember correctly from your book, was that your first performance with the Rockettes?
That was my very first performance with the Rockettes. We started rehearsal in 1987 in December. And it was I didn't even know who the Rockettes were when I auditioned for them. So it was my first learning experience of what precision dance was. And these ladies had danced together for 25, 30 years. So they knew how to break into line seamlessly and do a circle of kicks. And so not only was I learning new choreography, I was learning terminology, what precision dance was. So it was a lot to take in.
And I would imagine that the whole performance just sort of seemed to go by in a flash, as sometimes these moments often do. How did you feel after you came off the field?
It was surreal. It was amazing. Like I said, at 20 years old, it was my first big job. And I was very fortunate to have my parents fly out to San Diego to be with me, if only in spirit, because I was doing so much for rehearsal and press before the show. Um, it I felt kind of validated because that is what I wanted to do my entire life, is to dance on a grand stage. And so there was a sort of validation that I can do this. And it was very surreal and amazing.
Did you get to see your family after the performance?
No, we had to go back to the hotel and we had to get our things ready. We were flying out, as a team. So I really didn't get a chance to see them until I got back home.
But that's so amazing. Did you feel also, though, the weight of like history? You were making history.
You know, when we're going through our life experiences, we rarely in the moment feel like we're making history. We're like living our lives, And at 20 years old, I I I didn't know what how, like, opening the doors, being the first Black Rockette. I didn't really know the Rockette history. It would take my 15-year tenure to like really know what it was about. So I didn't know. And there was actually a woman in PR who pulled me aside right before my Super Bowl halftime debut. And she told me that I was old news. Nobody cares about my story, that I was lucky to be there. So I thought, oh, well, she's in PR. She knows. And I guess, nobody cares. It's not, I thought it was a big deal, but she's telling me it's not. So I believed her. So it would take me a long time to like really know the impact that I was making.
That is so shocking to me. And I can only imagine that even though you were like, I'm just here, and you were 20 and you couldn't necessarily understand it. That's a terrible thing that happened.
Yes. Well, the Rockettes were founded in 1925 in St. Louis, Missouri by Russell Market. And his idea for the Rockettes came based off the British Tiller Girls. And he thought if he could get an American dance troupe, ladies that can do intricate tap steps and do high kicks at the end, that he would just wow the American people. And back in the 1925, Black dancers were not allowed to perform on the same stage as white dancers. That's just the way it was. So his thought process of having a Black woman on the line just, never came across his mind. But you would think in 1987, under the backdrop of New York City, that a Black dancer would have been hired. But Russell was still alive. He passed the line down to Violet Holmes, who was also a Rockette. And she still had those antiquated thought processes. And it was Radio City and Hazel and Dukes from the NAACP who had a heavy knock at their door saying, you are not an equal opportunity employer. And I think it was the weight of that knock and the changing of the times that they decided to hire a Black dancer. And when you make that change in an institution, 63 years, it's not all welcoming. There are some people who are comfortable the way it was, and, there's resistance to change. So there was resistance from people in management, like the PR person, and there was some resistance from ladies on the line. But of course, there were people who are warm and welcoming, and I really leaned into those Rockette ladies who helped me be the best Rockette possible.
Yeah, it's never easy to be the first, whatever the first may be.
Right. There are challenges that come within the change. So some people may think that, they made it, they made the change, but there is still work that needs to be done.
You may not know this, but can you tell me how long it was till the second African American dancer came on the line?
I believe the second Black dancer came on 4 or 5 years after I was hired.
That's that.
Yeah.
It's shocking. When we talk to 80, we're looking back at the 80s on our show a lot, and the 80s was a time of these kind of firsts. The first African American woman director to direct a primetime sitcom, Nima Barnett, happened in the 80s. So all of these groundbreaking things were happening, and yet at the same time there was also this sense of like, really? It took that long?
Yeah.
It's ridiculously late. You guys are ridiculously late. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And that it's not that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's a New York Times article where Violet states that having 1 or 2 Black girls on the line would distract from the uniformity of the Rockettes, which is their hallmark. So it was just, that thought. But if you look at the line today, any child can go to the music hall and see a reflection of themselves. And it took a long time. We just celebrated our 100th year anniversary. It took a long time.
It does. It's not an easy journey. So when you faced resistance or things statements like that might make you feel small and unimportant, like how did you find your importance and how did you maintain yourself?
When someone came at me or was very mean to me or made it clear that I was not welcome on the line, I still had my love for dance. I loved putting on the costumes, the lashes, the lipstick, going onto that landmark stage. And I got to dance on the same stage as them and walk out of a backstage door, which I wanted as a child, my childhood dream. And no one was allowed to take that away from me. So I leaned into my dream as a child, and I was living it wholeheartedly, and they weren't allowed to take it away.
That's awesome. And as well you should, and nobody should be able to take that away from you. Can you take us back, though, through the audition process and what that was like for you? And were you aware during the audition process that they were perhaps looking to add a Black dancer to the line?
I was studying dance in New York City at Broadway Dance Center. There was a publication that came out weekly with a list of all the auditions, Broadway, off-Broadway. And my friends and I we would go through it. And I saw the Rockette audition, but I blew by it because I was going to be a Broadway star. And one of my friends said, Jennifer, you should go to this Rockette audition. You would make a perfect Rockette. And I was like, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't know who they were. I don't know what I didn't know them. But I was very green in the business, very nervous and intimidated at auditions. So the morning of, I decided to go. I got dressed. The audition started at 10. I got there at 10 at the music hall. And when I arrived, there were ladies draped around the music hall, one more beautiful after another. And I got at the end of the line. And I was like, they are never going to pick me. And I thought about leaving numerous times. I thought, if I leave right now, I can make my favorite jazz class, which was Frank Hatchett. And I kept toying with the idea. And just as I was about to leave, my inner voice said, stay, so much so that it almost like pushed me back into the line. And I stayed. And I got up to the small rehearsal hall where, they took about 20 girls and we were all warming up. And the intimidation set in. Everybody was a better dancer. Everybody could, turn better, kick higher. And the stage manager came in. He said, I'm going to call your name, have your tap shoes in hand, have your picture and resume, and your comp card, which was the card they had given us that you just fill out with basic information, name, address. And he called my name, and I got in line with my comp card. I didn't have my picture and resume, and I didn't have my tap shoes. Note taken for my Broadway break. We go into the large rehearsal hall, and there were about 20 people behind a big table who were at the audition watching. And we had our height requirement. If you didn't make the height, you weren't even allowed to dance.
What was the height requirement?
At that time, it was 5'5.5" and 5'9".
Oh, okay.
But since the 100th year anniversary, they've done away with the height. So anyone can audition now. So I put on my character shoes and I went out to learn the tap portion of the audition. Violet Holmes was the choreographer, and she didn't teach in a typical 5, 6, 7, 8 type of choreographer. She bediddled and bedaddled, bediddly-dee, bediddly-da, bediddly-deedly-da. She would hear the taps in her head. So that's the way she taught. So I bediddled and I bedaddled, and I'm just, absorbing all of this information in. We also had to show off our high kicks, and they were also casting for the Cheetah Rivera tour. So we had to do our can kicks and our jump splits. And after all of that, I went in the back of the room to pick up my bag. And the stage manager taps me on my shoulder. He said, "Jennifer, we're giving you a callback. Bring your picture and resume and bring your tap shoes." A few days later, I'm back in the callback, and there was one other Black woman there. I didn't see another Black woman in the initial audition, but I did see one at the callback. And I had my tap shoes, my picture and resume, and we bediddled and we bedaddled. And as any performer does, they leave the audition in the room and then they forget about it. So I left my audition there and I left. So that was the audition process.
And how long was it before you heard back from them?
I guess it was maybe a few weeks, a month later, that Violet called, and I picked up the phone. She's like, "Jennifer, this is Violet Holmes. We'd like to offer you the Super Bowl XXII halftime show." And I was so nervous. I asked if I could call her back. I took a walk around the block thinking, can I do this? Am I talented enough? And I called her back and I accepted. A few nights later, I'm watching the 11 o'clock news, and the local news anchor comes on and she says, "Radio City just hired their first Black woman to become a Rockette." And I was like, I wonder who that is, because they didn't say anything. No one mentioned it. My mother called me. She's like, "Jennifer, is that you?" And I said, "I don't know. Nobody said anything." And then a few days later, Radio City called and they told me I would be the first Black woman. They immediately put me in media training. And still, I didn't know the history of the Rockettes. There was no internet. We didn't have phones. It wasn't like something I could just go and Google. So it would be learn as I go who they are and what their history was at the time.
It really is such an example of how things have changed in terms of the flow of information and the ability to reach out and on your own get some information without having to know somebody who can answer your questions.
Right, exactly.
And then in terms of the people that welcomed you, because it's all women, I always think of it as one of those Broadway women movies, right? Where you're all living together and you're all having a grand time behind stage. Like, what is it like to be a Rockette? Like you're part of part of history now.
Right. It is incredible to be part of. It feels like a part of America. Everyone knows who the Rockettes are, where Radio City Music Hall is. So it's actually an honor to be a Rockette and to dance on the legendary, iconic stage of Radio City Music Hall and to be part of a sisterhood.
And then is there what is the word I'm looking for? You go to college and then you're
like an alumni.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there an alumni? Woo! Is there an
Yes.
alumni where you guys get together and you talk about your Rockette days?
Yes. So there is the Rockette alumni, which has been in existence, I would say, since 19 1940s that the ladies have made accustomed. And there's also the Rockette of Color alumni, where, the Rockettes of Color, we can get together and talk about our stories. And Radio City also has an alumni where we can get tickets to see the show every year. And they give us the 100th year celebration. Over 700 ladies have flown in just to be able to see each other and celebrate the 100th year. So there's 3 different ones.
Wow. It does feel like it's a very particular thing. Like it's like being an astronaut. There's only so many astronauts.
This is true. Yeah.
Yes.
There's only so many Rockettes.
So initially you were hired for the Super Bowl show. So how soon after did you, again, I'm not sure the proper phrasing, join the regular show, if you will? How long after that?
So I did the Christmas show in 1988. At the time, there was a roster of women. There were 36 women on the roster, and it was 36 because 36 women fit across Radio City Music Hall, the stage. And in that roster, there was also maternity leave of absences, healthcare. So if a woman chose not to come in that year, they would call in the rotation ladies. So I was called in because someone in the Christmas show was either out on maternity leave or they took a leave of absence. So I was called in 1988.
And dancing on Radio City stage, how was that for the first time?
Radio City is my favorite theater. It is so simply amazing. We were doing tech rehearsal and we were doing Christmas in New York, and we came up to do the kick line and it took my breath away. And the lady next to me, she tapped me. She's like, "Are you okay?" I was just like, "This stage is breathtaking." And she said, "It'll get you every time." That was my first experience on that stage. And every time I go see the Christmas show, it's more beautiful than the last time.
So here's something I've actually been dying to ask you. I went to see the Rockettes in 1995 at Radio City. And I'm wondering if you were still dancing with them that year.
Yes. So I retired from the Rockettes in 2002. So yes, I was there in 1995.
That really makes me very happy. More likely than not, then I probably saw you perform. That's awesome. That's awesome.
and at that time, we were doing up to 5 and 6 shows a day, and we would do all of the shows. Now there's 2 casts. There's a morning cast and an evening cast. So I was definitely there.
Awesome.
That is so crazy. You would do every show 5 to 6 times a day?
Yes. Yeah. There would be 5 or 6 shows on the weekends, and then usually four shows every day throughout the week. So we would do every single show.
To be that young again and have that much energy.
Seems crazy. That's a lot of dancing. You guys must have come off and ducked into some ice baths. Okay. So, and how do you feel when you're dancing? What brought you to dancing?
My parents growing up had my sister and I involved in all sorts of after-school activities, whether it was dancing or baton twirling, gymnastics, horseback riding. And I always just had a love of dance. And my parents were big, avid Broadway goers. They would go see all the Broadway shows like Ben Vereen and Pippin and Jesus Christ Superstar. And when The Wiz came to Broadway and it was kid-friendly, my parents took me and my sister, not once, but 5 times.
Wow.
And and each time, just going to the theater, holding my ticket, being given my playbill, being ushered to the seats. And then you hear everybody coming in and talking, and the orchestra is warming up. And then the overture starts, the lights dim, the curtain goes up, and I'm transported into Oz for 2 hours with the greats of Stephanie Mills and Mabel King and Andre DeShields and Hinton Battle. And then after each show, we would wait backstage for their autographs. And that door was magic to me. And they came out and they just seemed so happy, and they signed the playbill. And I remember going home through the Lincoln Tunnel, staring at the playbill, looking at all the autographs. And I just knew right then and there at 10 years old, 10 years old, that that is what I wanted to do. Not knowing what the training it would take or the talent or how to audition. I didn't know anything about the business, but I knew that I needed to be on that stage and do what they do.
That's such a great gift to know that, and then to achieve it is even better.
Yes, and I thank my parents for like giving me those dance classes and showing me a Broadway theater. And there was actually my fourth grade teacher who introduced me to my love of the stage. He came into the class one day. And he said, we're going to do an end of year recital. It's going to be the 1940s, and I need 6 people to be leads. And I just wanted to like melt into my chair. I was very shy and very quiet. And he picked me. And that required me to go to rehearsal before school, stay after school. And the day of the performance, I was on the stage and I was so nervous. And the music started, the curtain went up, and I was full on, I was full out, and I just loved the stage. So he really introduced me to that love of the stage. And then my parents kind of just like followed it up and showed me that, Black girls can become Broadway performers. And so it was just a mixture of all of that I just feel so blessed.
That's amazing. And as you were growing up, did you take classes in various dance disciplines, be it ballet or tap or jazz, or what were you studying?
I was enrolled in all of those: ballet, tap, jazz, but I really took to tap. And after class, my mother would go to the supermarket. I would ask to keep my tap shoes on, and I'd tap all up and down the aisles. So much so that my parents even got a piece of linoleum to bring down in the basement where my father had his office. And so when he was down there, I would tap away, and I just loved it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And
yeah.
In terms of seeing like The Wiz and seeing representation on stage of people that look like you, because you're going into dance at a time that there weren't a lot of Black dancers necessarily anywhere on Broadway.
Yeah.
There was breakthrough stuff like The Wiz.
Right.
And Ben Vereen, who could do anything.
Right.
What did that mean to you? Did it make it more possible, or did it make it seem against all odds?
For my parents to show me Broadway made it possible. It instilled in me that I can try to go for my dreams, and don't let the color of my skin make me feel less than. They very much encouraged me to try anything in life. And I hope that that's part of my story, to encourage people, to let everyone know that they have this unique, special footprint, a legacy to leave on this earth, and not to let anything hinder them or deny them not to try, that we all have something special to give our community.
So what was the most spectacular? Like, there was Super Bowl, that's going to be hard to, as your first run out the gate, but you also danced Christmas Spectacular, the Macy's Parade, Rockefeller Center on Broadway. Which was another moment in your career where you went, I am dancing here?
There are many moments over my career that, again, just I felt like I'm supposed to be there. There was the comic relief that we did at Radio City Music Hall with Whoopi Goldberg and Robin Williams and Billy Crystal. Yeah.
That's that's like the comic relief. That's crazy.
That is the comic relief. And actually, Whoopi did a Rockette number with us. So that was one of my most treasured performances. But also, I got a chance to tour. I got a chance to see the country and do what I love to do and see places that I would never really go. Kind of being so young, actually grow and build character, learn who Jennifer Jones is becoming. So the Rockettes offered me a lifetime of opportunities and growth and being able to love what I wanted to do as that little girl watching The Wiz.
One of the things I was really surprised about in learning about your time with the Rockettes, and I don't know if it's still the same way now, but you were employed by them for the year. And obviously you could take time off if you needed to for, as you said, maternity leave or other things like that, which also meant when you got ready to start a family, you were able to take time off, the time off that you needed, and then come back. Was it basically that you would pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I'm ready to come back," and they'd make room for you on the line, or how did that work? Because I have to say that sounded very civilized and not necessarily what I would expect for a job in performing like this.
I know, it was very unique. So the Christmas season was our biggest season. And if I took a maternity leave for that Christmas, I would automatically, since I was rostered, be offered it the following year. It would just be automatic unless I decided to take a leave of absence. They did break the roster. There is not a roster intact today. So, a lot of the ladies have to re-audition year after year, even though there is a core set of ladies who are considered full-time Rockettes. Especially now with the social media presence, and they do a lot more throughout the year, but a lot of the ladies do have to re-audition every year.
Yeah, I just thought that was so civilized and perfect and in a lot of ways, and maybe it wasn't intended this way, but thoughtful for the women who, the Rockettes, who were able to understand that they had a job, a commitment, and that basically it was up to them to a large extent, all things being equal, as to whether or not they were going to come back. Or, I mean, that's hard to find today. Even.
Yes, it is.
That's awesome.
But 15 years dancing that kind of intense dancing, how do you find that discipline? Because you're coming back, but if you can't make the kicks, I'm sure you're not staying there very long.
Yes, exactly. Other Rockettes and I have had a conversation about, like you said, the discipline, the thought process, especially with the precision dancing. It really is a mindset that I think is quite unique, that pretty much all the Rockettes have that same trait of being able to put your arm up at a certain level and then move it through peanut butter and to all look like one dancer. It's the discipline, my love of dancing, wanting to dance at Radio City, the Christmas season. I think all of that just, kept me going.
And then at some point you were able to dance on Broadway. I believe it was in 42nd Street.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that experience?
Yes.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
We're about to move to a new house, and we've decided to gift ourselves in this move all new sheets and towels. But the sheets, I'm going to use our 21% off discount at Cozy Earth to get some amazing soft bamboo sheets for our new house. You can go to 80s TV Ladies My Deals link in the show notes to see all our 80s TV Ladies deals. Use promo code 80s TV Ladies and get 21% off Cozy Earth. Between carrying scripts to the theater and hauling podcast gear around the country, I always need a bag that actually lasts. That's why I'm obsessed with Terrain. These bags are made from upcycled materials like rice bags, making them totally water-resistant and lightweight, and best yet, truly sustainable. They each have a bold, one-of-a-kind design that I just love. You can get the highest discount available, 15% off, by using our code 80sTVLadies. Click the 80s TV Ladies My Deals link in our show notes to see all our 80s TV Ladies deals and grab yours today, or go to terrain.org and put in the code 80sTVLadies when you check out.
Welcome back.
Yes, I did finally get my Broadway dream of performing on Broadway. For 42nd Street, it was the revival, which we won the Tony for Best Revival of a Musical. And Broadway dancing is so much different than the Rockette precision. And I really had a chance to put a little bit more of my own personality, my own spin on some of the choreography. It was really a wonderful experience and something that was very serendipitous to me. A full circle moment was that we were opening up for the Tony Awards in 2001, and we were performing at Radio City where the awards were being held. And we also won the Tony. So went back home as a Broadway performer when we won the Tony for Best Revival of a Musical. So it was something that I just hold very near and dear to my heart. And again, one of those places where you just feel placed. I truly believe that we all have these moments that, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. You know, you want a sign from the universe, you feel it, and you just know.
That's incredible. What an incredible experience to perform at the Tony Awards in Radio City Music Hall and then win for your show. Like that's it. You're done. Just drop the mic, walk off. You're good. But you didn't do that.
No.
So when did you decide to write some books about your experience?
Yeah. I always wanted to document my Rockette journey. A lot of people were asking me, what was it like to be the first Black woman on the line? So I always had this notion of wanting to put it down. And I started, picking up the pen and paper when I was on 42nd Street. And it just wasn't coming out the way I wanted. And then I got sidetracked. My kids were young. I was a single mom. I always just felt like the universe will guide me. And it took as long as it did because I realized that I had more of my life to share, to put in the book, to hopefully inspire others, to encourage people who are going through a challenging time to keep going. And there was just more for me to give.
And I love the children's book. I listened to somebody read it on YouTube, which was really fun. And I imagine you've gone and done book events with that book. What does it feel like and what does it mean when you have little kids with that you're inspiring, that are reacting to the book? How does that feel?
Going and doing school readings is one of my most favorite things to do. Number one, because I knew at such a young age what I wanted to do, and that Mr. Giuliano had such an impact on me that I want to make an impact on these kids. Like, dream big, go for it. Thoughts become things, just do it. And what I love about the children's book is actually the last page. And I hope that it fosters a conversation between like the school teacher and their students, or the parent and child, to what that child loves to do most in the world. Because it may not be something that the parents or the school teacher even knows. And we can nurture that. We can support that. We can help that grow for the child. And that is my hope. And I just, hearing the kids, their questions, their curiosity, just everything, I just hope to have an impact on them.
Did your own kids inspire you to write the children's book, to go down, or any other kids in your life, whether it be nieces, nephews, or friends' kids, or anything like that?
Well, when I wrote the book, my kids were much older. They're like in their late 20s now, and I don't have any grandchildren. I think it just came based off of my life. And Mr. Giuliano, like I said, had a big impact on me, that I would hope to have an impact that way on a young child, just to pursue their passion as well.
And I want to ask about when you were diagnosed with cancer and that story and how that impacted you.
Yes, I was diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer at the age of 50 after a routine colonoscopy. And I had just turned 50, and I knew something was wrong. I was vegetarian at the time for at that time for like 25 years. I was active every day, former professional dancer. And I thought, oh, maybe it's a gluten allergy. I'm allergic to dairy. I can't eat as much cheese. And when I went to see the doctor, can you see me a little sooner? Something isn't, right. Oh, you're fine. Look at you. You're healthy. She kind of like brushed me off. I went to the scheduler. Can you squeeze me in sooner? 2 weeks out was, the first appointment. Coming out of my colonoscopy, she comes in the room and she tells me that I have cancer and it looks like I have about 5 years to live. Now, this is the same woman that brushed me off and said, "You're healthy." So I was extremely ashamed. I was embarrassed. I didn't tell my family for a month. I was considered the healthy one in my family. So I went to labs and blood work and MRIs all in private for a month. And then when I finally told my parents and my family, my sisters and my kids, they immediately directed me to Memorial Sloan Kettering. And in doing so, I almost felt halfway healed. I was met by an almost all female surgical team, oncology team, and patients have to be so comfortable with their doctors and not to feel brushed off or like they were another vacation for their doctor's family. We have to be our own best advocates. If something feels off in our bodies, number one, off with the doctor, see a new doctor. I did 8 rounds of chemo, and then I had surgery in December of 2018. My surgeon called me January of 2019, and she deemed me cancer-free. Yes. And that was a blessing, being diagnosed at stage 3 and then being able to become cancer-free. I'm a staunch advocate for early screenings. The colonoscopy age has since dropped from the age of 50 to the age of 45. And if you have a family history, you need to be seen sooner. And also, they're finding this disease in younger adults, and they don't know why. So if someone is 21 or 29 and something feels off, and a doctor may say, "Oh, you're too young for a colonoscopy," have them documented in the record that they're refusing to give you a colonoscopy and then go see a new doctor. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Both Susan and I have had experience with breast cancer. Mine, Susan, much more recently than mine.
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
I will never forget when I was first diagnosed and told one of my friends about the diagnosis. She had also been dealing with cancer. And one of the things she said to me is, if you don't like your oncologist, if something doesn't feel right, get another one. And I have told so many people that because of that very thing, you need to feel like whoever that person is listening to you and is going to fight as hard as they can for you. And if you don't feel that, then there's so many other doctors out there. Find somebody else and don't be afraid to go look for somebody else. But I'm obviously so glad you did. Listen to that voice in your head. And because getting detected and getting treatment as quickly as possible makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And having that support, I'm curious because it is such a journey too. And you have such a unique relationship as a dancer and an athlete to your body. What that also meant to you.
All right. Going through chemo, I was very nervous about it. And I didn't tell a lot of people. It was only like my very close circle of family and close friends who knew what I was going through. The sort of chemo that I went through, I didn't lose my hair, but my hair did thin out. At my diagnosis, what I didn't realize is that I was micromanaging my diet because I wasn't feeling well after eating. So I weighed in at like 115 pounds. And I remember after my first chemo treatment, I was like, oh my God, I'm starving. I am so hungry. So, so I went and I got this big Italian eggplant meal with bread and pasta. And I ate the entire thing. It tasted so good. It was like a long lost friend that I had forgotten that. And then I sat on the couch and I waited for the chemo to kick in. Like, am I going to throw up or is something going to happen? And all I felt was good. So I had to relearn how to eat during the chemo treatments, what was affecting me. But even more so was after the surgery and relearning my body. And that would take 2 full years for me to do, to feel really comfortable in my skin.
Because you had such a physical discipline to be a Rockette. You had to have that. And then you have to sort of, there's a body thing. You feel like, is my body betraying me? Is my, am I betraying my body? What did I do wrong? So I'm just curious how the discipline of a dancer worked for you or against you with dealing with cancer.
Oh, it definitely helped me. During my chemo treatments, I was very regimented of when to take my pills in the morning and to take them in the evening, and to really put in a system, a routine for my own therapy on the side. And I also incorporated more juicing in my diet, more wheatgrass shots. I incorporated more meditation. And I was like stressed out to a 10 before I was diagnosed. And then I took a hard look at my life and I said, what is happening? I turned my back on situations that were not serving me. I let some relationships go that I had no business being in the first place. And I just kind of really, what is my legacy? What is my footprint? What is my gift to the world? And I really honed in on that. And I think that is also what got me through a lot of things.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited about your book, Becoming Spectacular, The Rhythm of Resilience, from the first African American Rockette. I love that line, rhythm of resilience.
Yeah.
I love it because it works on many levels, but also because it is what you have to find if you're going through something hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just one day, right?
Right.
It's a long time. I've just started listening to it on audiobook and I'm loving it.
Thank you.
What made you write that book? Like you wrote a book for kids and then now you've written a book kind of for adults to tell your story.
Right. Like I said, I always wanted to document my Rockette legacy, but I also wanted to let people know that some people think that, oh, she's a first, they made it. They'll never have to, worry about anything ever again. But even after my dancing career, I was a divorced single mom, 2 kids. I had to keep the lights on, put food on the table. What does that look like in a life? And then I also wanted to talk about my cancer journey. I just had so much to share. And I feel like if I'm open enough to share the ebbs and flows of life, that people will know it's okay that if they're going through a challenge, to talk about it or give them hope to know that they can get through it. Just be a beacon of light, just knowing that nobody is alone, even if they just, I've had people reach out and tell me like different sections of my book have helped them. And each section is so different. And I love hearing that because it was hard to put my whole life out there, So I'm glad it's serving as a helpful resource for people.
It's interesting. We talk to a lot of people on this show, particularly a lot of women. It's our favorite subject, but it is also very interesting. I think that women are often not used to telling their story. Mm-hmm. They tend to downplay their story. And some women are kind of afraid to tell their story. So I think it's really vital when people do. Did you have a fear of talking about the cancer or even the resistance that you faced?
Absolutely. I had my husband read the book 3 times. And each time he would say, is it true? And I would say, yes. And he said, put it in. And just being so open and vulnerable and feeling so exposed, letting people know the difficulties and the hardships that I went through. And now I can look back on those as opportunities of growth, making me and chiseling me to the woman that I am becoming spectacular. I feel like we all are becoming spectacular. And if we can look at those challenges as opportunities to grow, to refine us so we can shine bright and give our gift to the world, I think that is what I hope to do with this book.
Well, that's its own mic drop, too. That was fantastic. Oh, my gosh. What are you up to these days? What's bringing you joy? What keeps you inspired?
Well, I practice hot yoga. I love hot yoga, but I do have a thought of writing a book for middle grade. I would really love to inspire them at that age to follow their dreams. What is it that you love to do most in the world? Believe in your thoughts. I would love to see Becoming Spectacular on a big screen. And I would like to see On the Line as a cartoon. I would love to see kids doing a kick line in their living room. Yeah. On a Saturday morning.
When you get together with your Rockettes and your alumni groups, what's your favorite thing to talk about?
I think reminiscing about our time on the line together. Oh, do you remember the time that you did this or you did that? It was such a great time for all of us just to remember it.
Oh my God. Thank you so much today. This has been amazing.
Thank you.
As Susan mentioned earlier, we've been fortunate enough to talk to a number of really spectacular women, and it's really our honor to be able to talk with you as well. We count you among them. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It is a pleasure speaking with the both of you also. Thank you.
Have a beautiful rest of your Sunday. And where can people find you? Hold on.
Yes.
We got to do all that work stuff. Okay, go ahead.
You can find me on Instagram, The Official Jennifer Jones, or my website, The Official Jennifer Jones, Facebook, Rockette Jen. And you can find my Dancing Jen doll at Walmart Marketplace and my books anywhere where books are sold.
That's fantastic.
Well, hold on. Can you tell us more about your doll? Your Dancing Jen doll, please.
Yes. So I have Dancing Jen.
Do you have one? Oh, there she is.
Oh,
look she's Christmas spectacular. Dancing Jen.
That's fantastic.
This is Dancing Jen, and I designed her actually to go with my children's book because I wanted the kids to hold on to something tangible, to remember, like if they're going through a hard time or a rough day, that never give up. Thoughts become things, keep going. So that's why I designed her. You can find her at Walmart Marketplace.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That is fantastic. 2 books and a doll. And a Tony Award. That's pretty good. Thank you again. It's been great.
Thank you.
For our audiography today, you can find out more about Jennifer Jones at her website, theofficialjenniferjones.com.
You can get Jennifer's book, Becoming Spectacular, at HarperCollins or bookshop.org. Links will be in our description.
You can get her children's book, On the Line, also at bookshop.org or HarperCollins.
Hey, it's true. Colon cancer is being diagnosed in younger and younger people all the time. Find out when you should get a colonoscopy at coloncancercoalition.org and learn about it. It's really important that you get screened for all the cancers. We know that all too well, because if you catch it early, it's a much better story.
It's more important than ever that we take care of ourselves and listen to our bodies and advocate for our own health.
Indeed. I think we learn from all these interviews. I love all these interviews that we get to do with people where we really learn that entertainment isn't just entertainment. It can be a catalyst for change, a spark for resistance and revolution, and teach us lessons about what we can accomplish in the world. If you can see it, you can be it. And we need that more than ever.
So to that end, don't forget your vote is your voice. Go to vote.org to make sure you are registered to vote. And if you're not, get registered as soon as possible.
That's right. We need all the help we can get. Hey, you can also help support this show. You can support us on Patreon. You get videos of select interviews. You get special merch. We'll do a video of this show on Patreon. And if you can't afford that, go to Apple and make sure you've subscribed and give us a rating. We love those 5 stars. That helps us out too.
And up next, while Susan and I finish moving, we can't wait to look back at a fan favorite episode where we kick off A Different World with Nicole Levy, television writer of Found, The Recruit, and SWAT.
It's going to be amazing. We love dropping reruns. It reminds us of back in the day when we got to watch reruns of our favorite shows during the summer and during mid-season breaks. If you haven't caught them, it's a great chance to catch them again or to catch them for the first time. One of those, catch them again, whatever. We don't know what we're doing. We're all trying to move.
Oh, moving. So much fun. And as always, we hope 80s TV Ladies brings you joy and laughter and lots of fabulous new and old shows to watch, all of which will bring us closer to being amazing ladies of the 21st century.
Do you think we could do high kicks? I high kicks, Sharon?
I can do kicks. I can't do high kicks. Never have been able to do high kicks.